Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really thrilled to have you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Today, we are setting out on a very specific mission, and it's one that fundamentally challenges how most companies approach their online presence. We're going to unpack the world of custom WordPress development.
Right, which sounds technical, but it affects literally everyone.
Exactly. But more importantly, we're going to explore why relying on those generic, out-of-the-box themes, the ones that promise you a shiny new website in 5 minutes for $50, why those are quietly but systematically failing businesses across the globe.
It's a massive hidden problem in the industry today. So many business owners and even agency directors think they're being highly efficient.
Oh, for sure.
They genuinely believe they're saving money and deployment time by purchasing these prepackaged templates, but they rarely realize the invisible hard ceiling they are placing on their own organic growth and really their operational scalability.
Yeah, and we aren't just going to sit here and throw theoretical shade at templates. We have a solid stack of primary sources to back this up.
Always need the data.
Right. Today's insights are pulled directly from the portfolio and the highly detailed technical case studies of Miguel Ferreira.
Yeah, operating out of mfmd.pt.
Exactly, mfmd.pt. He's a digital marketing specialist and a full-stack web developer based in Aveiro, Portugal. And looking through his documentation, the approach is incredibly data-driven. He completely bridges the gap between high-level marketing strategy and hardcore technical software engineering.
And that bridge is exactly what makes his portfolio so compelling. I mean, he isn't operating under the assumption that web development is just about making a brochure look pretty on a screen.
Right, it's not just graphic design.
Exactly. He approaches code as a structural digital asset. It's about building a machine that performs a specific business function.
And the results of treating a website like a machine rather than a digital flyer are just mind-blowing. I'm going to tease this right out of the gate so you know where we are heading today. By moving away from a bloated generic template to an ecosystem of clean, custom-coded plugins, he generated massive triple-digit growth for a regional chamber of commerce.
Massive is almost an understatement here.
Yeah, we are talking about a staggering 403% increase in site clicks. Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to play the skeptic for a second. How is a 400% increase even technically possible just by changing the underlying code?
It sounds like magic, I know.
Right. Because we aren't talking about a massive new advertising budget here. We're talking about web development.
To understand how that kind of return on investment is possible, we have to deeply analyze the trap of the out-of-the-box theme.
Okay.
Think about it this way. When you buy a generic theme off a marketplace, the developers of that theme have a specific business model. They need to sell that exact same piece of software to as many different types of businesses as possible.
So they cast a wide net.
Exactly. It needs to function for a local restaurant, a massive real estate brokerage, a freelance photographer, and, a corporate consulting firm.
Which means it has to contain the functionality for all of them simultaneously. It's kind of like buying a Swiss Army knife when all you actually need is a scalpel.
Yeah.
You're trying to perform delicate, precise surgery, but you are carrying around the dead weight of a corkscrew, a tiny saw, and a pair of tweezers you'll literally never use.
That is the perfect analogy. In web development, carrying around that dead weight is what we call bloat. To make that theme universally appealing, the developers pack it with massive amounts of unnecessary code.
Right.
You get heavy JavaScript libraries, complex and endless CSS style sheets, and sliders that you aren't even utilizing. But here's the critical part. Your user's browser still has to download, parse, and execute all of that hidden code before it can render the page.
Even if you are only actively using 10% of the theme's visual features.
Exactly, and that creates a massive bottleneck.
The browser is just choking on a 3-megabyte CSS file just to load a simple hero image and some text.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at what the sources call the Web 5.0 era. Modern SEO is no longer about keyword stuffing.
Yeah, that's a relic of the late 2000s.
Exactly. Today, performance is ranking. In the Web 5.0 era, latency, even a delay of a few hundred milliseconds, is the ultimate enemy of conversion. Search engines like Google now measure something called Core Web Vitals.
Right. I've seen that term floating around in Google Search Console. It essentially measures the real-world experience of a user on your site, right? Like how fast things paint on the screen, how stable the layout is, how quickly it responds to a tap.
Exactly. It's an empirical assessment of how fast, responsive, and visually stable a page is. If your Swiss Army knife theme is choked with render-blocking JavaScript and failing those Core Web Vitals tests, Google algorithms will actively suppress your organic visibility.
Wow. So you get the best content in the world.
The most authoritative content in your industry, yes. But if your infrastructure is slow, search engines will hide your business from your customers to protect their own users' experience.
That is a harsh reality for businesses relying on cheap templates. And the sources highlight this philosophical shift perfectly. Miguel emphasizes that modern SEO relies on what he calls entity architecture.
Right, entity architecture.
Yeah. Search engines today are incredibly sophisticated. They think in concepts, relationships, and entities, not just matching text strings anymore. Your site needs a clean semantic code structure and an impeccable hierarchy of information to demonstrate actual authority.
The overarching philosophy driving these case studies is that a project without a clear custom strategy is nothing more than scattered code.
Scattered code, I like that term.
To truly succeed and capture market share today, your website cannot just sit there. It must act as an intelligent, active agent.
Not just a digital brochure.
Exactly. It needs to be an automated system that actively works to process data, guide user behavior, and capture leads without human intervention.
And that concept of the intelligent active agent brings us perfectly to the main case study we are analyzing today. The client in the source material is AICCI, which stands for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Aveiro District.
Right.
This is a heavy-hitting institution.
Yeah.
Since 1986, they have played a foundational, strategic role in supporting their regional business ecosystem in Portugal. We are talking about an organization that handles internationalization processes, export document validation, massive vocational training programs, legal support. They are a deeply ingrained pillar of their business community.
You can immediately imagine the digital complexity of an institution that handles that many diverse, high-level services.
Oh, yeah.
Especially one that has been accumulating data and legacy systems since the 1980s. If you try to slap a generic WordPress template onto an operation of that magnitude, the database is going to buckle under the weight and the user experience will be an absolute labyrinth.
Yeah, they recognized they needed a serious digital modernization. And instead of going the generic route and trying to force their complex workflows into a pre-existing box, the approach Miguel took was entirely custom.
Entirely bespoke.
He built custom front-end and back-end solutions, utilizing WordPress, PHP, and JavaScript. The stated goal was highly ambitious, driving triple-digit organic growth through hardcore workflow automation. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the way he achieved those massive numbers wasn't through surface-level design tweaks.
Not at all.
He engineered highly specific, custom WordPress plugins tailored exactly to AIDA CCI's operational bottlenecks.
This is where we see the transition from a website acting as a digital billboard to acting as an operational tool. Let's break down the first custom plugin detailed in the case study, the digital diagnosis tool.
Now, looking at the documentation, this is described as an interactive tool featuring a custom 32-question form designed to assess a company's digital maturity. But I have to ask, it's a form. We've all filled out forms online. How is a 32-question form revolutionary enough to drive these kinds of case study results?
It is about what happens beneath the surface of that form.
Okay.
From a front-end user perspective, yes, it looks like a clean, helpful assessment. But technically and strategically, it features a deeply integrated automated scoring logic. As the user inputs their data, the PHP backend is calculating their digital maturity score in real time.
Oh, wow.
It provides immediate, personalized value to the business owner taking the assessment. But simultaneously, it acts as a highly sophisticated, frictionless lead capture system for the Chamber of Commerce.
So it's a true exchange of value. The user gets a legitimate, calculated diagnostic of their business, and the chamber gets highly qualified, segmented contact data seamlessly integrated into their system.
Exactly.
That is the intelligent, active agent at work.
Precisely. It automates the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop with external lead capture. The internal workflow automations are where custom development truly pays for itself.
That brings us to the second custom plugin, and I think this one highlights a massive pain point for so many companies. It is a course synchronization plugin.
This is a lifesaver.
Honestly, I once had a client whose intern spent 3 days straight just copy-pasting training dates and course descriptions from a legacy Excel sheet into a WordPress backend, only to realize on Friday afternoon that they had the wrong year on half the entries.
Oh no, that is painful.
The sheer amount of human suffering and wasted payroll tied up in manual data entry is just staggering.
It's a nightmare scenario, but it is incredibly common when you rely on generic themes that don't speak to your other internal databases.
Right.
AIDA CCI runs a separate, dedicated training platform hosted on a subdomain, specifically for macau.aida.pt.
Right, and they need those courses to appear on the main website, aida.pt, so people can actually find them and register.
With a standard setup, you have an employee doing exactly what your client's intern did, manually duplicating data across platforms.
Right, typing it all out again.
What this custom plugin does is build a direct PHP bridge between the two platforms. It automatically queries the training subdomain and pulls the data flow directly into the main site.
Just automatically?
Yes. It instantly and dynamically generates the course pages, complete with dates, descriptions, and registration links without a single manual input from a human being.
The operational efficiency gain there is almost hard to quantify. You are entirely eliminating human error, and you're taking hours of tedious administrative work off an employee's plate so they can focus on high-value strategic tasks.
You are literally buying back time. But the custom architecture doesn't just sync internal data, it also manages how data is broadcasted externally, which is where things get highly technical and critical for SEO. Let's look at the third major piece of custom development, the multi-site importer and SEO protection system.
Yeah, the sources outline that AIDA CCI operates a network of associated projects and subdomains, and they needed a system that allowed these other domains to import and display the main news feed from the primary chamber website.
This is a vital architectural challenge for any organization managing multiple websites. When you syndicate or duplicate the exact same news article across 3 different domains, even if you own all of them, search engine crawlers get incredibly confused.
Because they see identical content.
Exactly. They crawl the main site, then they crawl the subdomain, and they see the identical text. Because they don't know which version is the original authoritative source, they essentially split the ranking power between them. Or worse, the algorithm assumes it's spam and suppresses all the pages involved.
In the SEO industry, that's known as SRP cannibalization. Your own digital assets are actively eating each other's search engine results page rankings.
Yeah.
You are essentially competing against yourself.
That is exactly what happens. To prevent this, generic plugins often fail because they just pull the RSS feed blindly. What makes Miguel's custom multi-site importer critical is how it handles the metadata.
The canonical tags.
Yes. During the automated import process, the plugin dynamically injects correct canonical tags into the headers of the duplicated articles on the subdomains.
For those who might not be deep into the code, a canonical tag is basically a piece of hidden HTML that taps the Google bot on the shoulder and says, hey, I know this article is here, but this is just a copy. All the credit, authority, and ranking juice should be credited to the original URL on the main aida.pt website.
It acts as a digital citation system for the algorithms. By hard-coding this logic into the custom importer, the development directly protects the organization's organic visibility.
Wow.
It proves that custom engineering isn't just about making workflows easier for staff, it is an active defense mechanism for your search engine rankings.
It's like having an automated digital traffic cop, ensuring all the SEO value flows back to the mothership. And the custom solutions in this case study just keep rolling. Let's talk about site migrations, because that is another area fraught with disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources mention a mini plugin built specifically for URL autocorrection. AIDA CCI had approximately 970 broken document URLs pointing to a legacy site structure.
Anyone who has survived a major enterprise website migration knows that feeling of dread when the 404 error reports start rolling in. When users or search engines click a link and hit a dead end, it tanks your core web vitals and completely destroys user trust.
Yeah, and manually setting up 301 redirects for 1,000 individual PDF and document links would take weeks of mind-numbing labor. Instead, they built a bespoke mini plugin to bulk fix and autocorrect those specific URL paths on the fly. Problem solved, massive SEO disaster averted, hundreds of hours saved.
It showcases the agility of custom development. You identify a highly specific bottleneck, you engineer a precise script to resolve it, and you move on. We see this again with the INROV.am consortium integration mentioned in the portfolio.
Right, the sources describe this as a complex interface designed to link various industrial sectors, regional products, and technologies together for a consortium project. But the brilliant part isn't just how complex the data matrix is on the front end, it's how they update it. The staff simply imports a basic .xsx Excel file, and the custom backend parses that spreadsheet and updates the entire complex relational database instantly.
That is the absolute hallmark of elite software engineering. You take a deeply complex relational database on the front end, and you abstract it so completely that managing it on the back end is as simple as uploading a spreadsheet. You are adapting the technology to the human's workflow, rather than forcing the human to learn a complex new technological workflow.
It's a fundamental shift in how we think about managing digital properties. But the scope of the work Miguel details goes even further than plugins. Let's transition from the database layer to the actual server and front-end infrastructure, because the sources touch on advanced integrations, server health, and accessibility that tie this whole ecosystem together.
When you move away from templates, you start looking at the holistic health of the entire IT stack all the way down to the server level. For instance, the case study notes the development of a custom Python application script specifically for the client.
Which is interesting. Why would a WordPress developer be writing custom Python scripts for a website project?
Because a full-stack developer understands that the website doesn't exist in a vacuum, it lives on hardware. This Python script performs automated system cleaning at the server level.
Oh, I see.
It routinely purges temporary files, frees up critical storage space, and generates detailed system logs. By automating the hardware maintenance, you ensure the server always has the maximum available resources to quickly deliver the website to the end user. It's about maintaining that ultra-low latency we discussed earlier.
That makes total sense. Keep the engine clean so the car runs fast.
Yeah.
Let's look at the front-end user experience, too. The feature that really caught my attention in the documentation was the implementation of voice search. The sources detail the integration of the web speech API to allow bilingual voice-dictated search directly across the site's browsers.
What's fascinating here is how this ties back to our earlier discussion about reducing friction and satisfying search engine algorithms.
How so?
Well, the Web Speech API hooks directly into the browser's native speech recognition capabilities. It listens to the user, transcribes the audio into a text string in real time, and feeds that string directly into the WordPress query loop.
And it handles it bilingually, which is crucial for an international chamber of commerce. But you mentioned algorithms. I want to dive into that because the sources heavily emphasize WK compliance, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Now, I think a lot of businesses view making their site accessible to people with visual or motor impairments as something they will, get around to eventually. It's an afterthought. But the case study frames this as a core structural priority.
It is a critical priority, and we need to look at WCAG compliance strictly through the lens of performance and technical SEO. When you build a universally accessible digital ecosystem, you aren't just adding features, you are fundamentally writing vastly superior code.
Wait, how does making a site readable for a screen reader actually boost SEO?
Think about how a search engine bot actually views your website. Googlebot doesn't have eyes. It is essentially the world's most advanced screen reader.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. The algorithms are designed to parse and favor clean, semantic HTML structures. When a custom developer ensures that every image has descriptive alt text, that heading tags follow a strict logical hierarchy, and that the entire site can be navigated cleanly via a keyboard without getting trapped in infinite JavaScript loops, they are serving the content to search engine crawlers on a silver platter.
Good code for screen readers is fundamentally good code for search bots. By prioritizing digital inclusion, you ensure the crawler understands your entity architecture perfectly, which actively pushes your organic rankings higher.
Exactly. Accessibility is an undeniable SEO superpower. And speaking of keeping the site lean and fast for those crawlers, we have to look at how the custom build handled media assets. The sources heavily emphasize automated image optimization.
Image optimization seems basic, but it's constantly overlooked. The portfolio specifically highlights the implementation of systems to convert legacy image files, your standard JPEGs and PNGs, into next-generation formats like WebP. Why is WebP such a game changer for a heavy institutional site?
High-resolution images are traditionally the biggest bottleneck on the web. A massive JPEG on the homepage will instantly drag down your core web vitals, causing that render-blocking latency we discussed. WebP is a modern image format that provides superior lossless compression. It significantly reduces the file size without any visible loss of quality to the human eye.
So by automating the conversion of every uploaded image to WebP, you bypass the bottleneck of heavy media files entirely.
Precisely. And from a business operations standpoint, it severely suppresses infrastructure costs because you are permanently utilizing less server storage space and burning through far less bandwidth to serve the pages to users.
Okay, let's step back and look at the whole picture. We've talked about the dead weight of generic themes. We've explored how custom plugins act as intelligent lead capture agents and workflow automations. We've discussed SRP cannibalization, Python server scripts, semantic accessibility, and next-gen compression. So what does this all mean? How does this deep technical engineering actually translate to the bottom line for AIDA CCI?
This is where the theory is proven by the data. The transition from scattered code to a tailored digital asset produces measurable returns.
I'm going to read these data points straight from Miguel's technical case study, and they are incredible.
Go for it.
After completely modernizing their digital infrastructure with this bespoke approach, AIDA CCI saw a 162.75% increase in organic page views. But wait, it gets crazier. A 403.61% increase in site clicks, a 502.86% increase in file downloads, and a 153.63% increase in form submissions. All of this while achieving a flawless, perfect 100 out of 100 score on Google Lighthouse for performance, accessibility, and best practices.
Those numbers are staggering for an institutional website.
But I have to push back again. Are you telling me that simply structuring the code better and improving load times increase file downloads by 500%?
Yes, and that is the absolute power of removing digital friction. When your architecture is flawless, Google ranks you higher, which drives the 400% increase in clicks. Once the user's on the site, the lightning-fast WebP images, the clean hierarchy, and the intelligent search APIs mean they actually find what they're looking for instantly instead of abandoning the page in frustration.
Oh.
That is what drives a 500% increase in downloads and a 150% increase in lead captures. It's a compounding effect of technical excellence.
If you were listening to this right now, maybe you're prepping for a quarterly meeting about a website redesign. Or maybe you are pulling your hair out wondering why your current expensive marketing campaigns just aren't converting on your website. This case study is the definitive proof you need. A fast, custom-structured, intelligently architected site isn't just an IT expense, it is your most valuable digital asset. It turns raw semantic code into a measurable triple-digit return on investment.
This raises an important question for you to critically consider regarding your own web projects. Are you investing in a sustainable digital ecosystem, or are you just buying scattered code? When you buy an out-of-the-box theme, you are essentially buying someone else's generic scattered code and praying it fits your unique operational bottlenecks. Custom development is about engineering the exact tool your specific business requires to scale.
To summarize exactly what we've unpacked today, out-of-the-box templates might look like an easy, cheap shortcut on day one, but they secretly create massive bloat, critical latency, and technical SEO bottlenecks that quietly cost you customers every single day. True scalable digital growth, as conclusively proven by the massive triple-digit increases generated for AIDA CCI, comes from custom engineering, clean semantic architecture, and strategic workflow automation.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a forward-looking thought based on Miguel's concept of the Web 5.0 era and the rapid rise of generative AI. We know that search engines are currently evolving into complex, AI-driven conversational agents. Think of Google's search generative experience.
Right.
In the very near future, search won't just be about finding blue links. It will rely entirely on large language models deeply parsing and understanding your website's entity architecture and semantic HTML to generate direct answers for users.
That is a fundamental shift in how the internet operates.
It is the next frontier. So what happens to the businesses that are still relying on bloated generic themes stitched together with unnecessary CSS and convoluted JavaScript? If your website is a tangled mess of untargeted plugins and poor heading hierarchy, will it even be able to functionally speak to the AI engines of tomorrow?
Wow.
Or will your business simply be bypassed and ignored by the algorithms entirely because your code is unreadable?
That is a fascinating and honestly is a slightly terrifying thought to mull over for anyone managing a brand online today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the true power of custom WordPress development. Keep exploring, keep questioning the underlying technology operating behind your screens, and we will catch you next time.